It's Friday, August 19th, 2022, and this is Dan Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. I'm Dennis, and I'll be your host as we review the latest Marvel happenings across all media, as well as other superpowered stories that caught our attention. And when I say we, I mean my nerdy co-host joining me this evening. He's ready to once again get hung up on the physics of the Hulk. It's Ricky.
It's me. Oh man.
When you stepped away, did you not realize that it was about to be 8 o'clock and it was time for the show to start?
I had an inkling, but
Yeah.
I had to do a quick costume change. So
Gotcha. Well, we took last week off. I had my parental unit, my mom visiting, and I just didn't want to try and pull off a show.
Your mom would have made a great guest.
Agree to disagree. But in any case, yeah, it was like, the other reason we kind of chose not to is because like it was really just gonna be the one episode of Harley Quinn to talk about, and I was like, I don't really want to pull a guest or try and like, I didn't want to try and fill that space, like I don't ever want to do this show just to fill time. I like to do stuff. I like to have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay if we pushed one episode of Harley Quinn. We could talk about both this week, and then even better, we now have a She-Hulk to talk about. So we're not just completely DC like we were.
All of your super heroines.
Yeah. Before we get into the show, I do have questions for you, but I'll get some formalities out of the way really quick. We, as promised, we have a fun show in store. We advertised it and we'll be doing it. We're putting a spotlight on season 3, episodes 5 and 6 of Harley Quinn, and the newly dropped She-Hulk Attorney at Law that just recently showed up on Disney Plus yesterday. But before that, we have some nerd news to discuss. I didn't get a chance to whip up some trivia for you, Ricky. Sorry. You're just not that special. It's okay. And for those of you joining us live, don't be shy. We'll be checking the comments regularly, and particularly, when we're talking about the shows that you guys went to the trouble of watching before joining us. And then, if you can't get enough of us, you should visit patreon.com/denxmedia, where you'll find a variety of creative offerings, including recent episodes of our live after show, The Soapbox. Patrons get exclusive access to chat with us. But if that's not your thing, don't worry. We'll release it to the public the following week. So, we just like to make it special for people who are nice enough to
want to hang out with us,
help support our little show here. But I have a couple questions for you. But the first one I want to know is the last time we did this show, we talked about Harley Quinn and Sandman.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 weeks, and I was just curious, did you finish Sandman?
No. Immediately after I finished that episode or that show, we discovered Severance, and that took place of the past 2 weeks. So I think Severance and Reservation Dogs have all just filled my block.
But you're caught up on Reservation Dogs. It's like a 22-minute show.
But they released 2 new episodes today, right? Wasn't that the big news?
They released 1 new episode of Sandman today after dropping the full 10 episodes in the first week. 2 weeks later, they put out a new episode. It's pretty clever because it's actually like
a one-shot.
It's kind of like 2 one-shots put together. One of them is actually animated. So don't get me wrong, like Morpheus is actually in both episodes. He is. But they're kind of like these things that they do sometimes in the comics. They have Sandman like interludes that are like different stories that don't necessarily um, play into the bigger story, but you get to see Dream doing the things he does as the Lord of Dreams. Um, the animated one is pretty amazing. That one's only like 20 minutes long, and then the second part of that episode is like a 40-minute episode about Calliope, one of the daughters of Zeus that was also captured. She's a muse, and she was captured during the same time frame as Dream, and so you get a visit from the Weird Sisters, and they basically let her know, like, hey, even if you wanted to be visited by help by Dream, he can't help you right now. He's also imprisoned and stuff, and so it's a pretty cool episode, man. But I highly recommend you watch that show. It's super.
I think I'll go back around to Sandman. I don't want to shut the door on it. When does Lord of the Rings come out? That's next Friday.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I have zero excitement for that one.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I just owe it to myself to watch Lord of the Rings. Like, again, I don't really like fantasy. I'm not a big fantasy person, but those movies were my childhood for a minute.
But was The Hobbit your childhood too?
I read The Hobbit as a kid. That was one of the first books I read was The Hobbit.
But I'm saying the
movies.
Yeah.
I did not see the last one in theaters.
That's what I'm saying. I never watched any of them because, like, I didn't understand how you can turn a 200-page book into, like, 3 movies.
Well, money.
Well, yeah, that I get, but yeah, no. So, like, if it's anything outside of the actual books, like that aren't the Silmarillion, which was also kind of a cash grab, I don't really care, like, so I'm sure it'll look cool. I'll check it out, but I'm not excited at all. And I know that breaks some people's hearts that are longtime watchers or listeners, but sorry, it's not my thing. I just don't like, yeah. But anyways, let's get the energy up. I think you have 2 weeks worth of news to share with us.
Yeah. I have some news. I don't know about 2 weeks worth of news, but
do it.
All right. Spider-Man No Way Home Extended Edition. What's it called? The More Fun Stuff Edition. It's officially having 11 more minutes of more fun stuff. This is coming out next week or Labor Day weekend, September 2nd. Back in theaters for I think 2 weeks is what's the run. Are you interested in these extra 11 minutes, Dennis?
Like, I feel pretty grossed out by the fact that they already sold me the movie. You know what I mean?
This is out and you can go buy it at the
like
store.
I already bought the movie, and now you're telling me there's like a new version of the movie with 11 extra minutes.
Yeah, that you're gonna buy it again.
No, I'm not gonna buy it again. I just wanted the first one. It's fine, like, I don't know.
Honestly, it just seems like a weird, like, because Spider-Man No Way Home made a lot of money, and it's we're talking like top 10 of all time money. So depending on how this movie does, I believe it can surpass I think it's Avatar again.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
but I think it's eyeing for the number. It's at number 4, and I think it's eyeing the number 3 spot of all time. Whatever. It's just a little bit of a dick waving contest, but
it's weird.
More Spider-Man.
I don't know. You tell me how it is. Tell me how those 11.
I'll tell you how those bootleg extra 11 minutes are.
I'm not gonna care about those minutes. They don't matter to me. Keep going.
A Bathing Ape, one of my favorite shoe companies or streetwear companies, is doing a Marvel collaboration with their signature shoe. Here are the picture of all 6 shoes. You got the main 3, the Hulk, you got Rocket, you got Black Widow, and they're all getting cool Bape sneakers.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Find those them at your
nice. I like the colors.
Their sneakers are of a nice quality in general. So if you want some loud Iron Man sneakers, there you go. Avengers, the video game that keeps on giving, is giving us a new character. We're getting the Winter Soldier. It's coming out with the next patch, which
Wait,
is
wasn't She-Hulk supposed to be the next character?
I think that was the rumor through that voice
No.
actor leak, but they came out. This is per their Twitter that with the next patch, the Winter Soldier is going to be added into the game. So, what character will get you to go back in the game?
None.
None.
They gave me Spider-Man and he sucked, so I'm done. I'm done. There's no character that they can give me that would make me want to come back.
Do you want an Avengers 2? Like, what do you want them to take another crack at this game?
No, that game's terrible, and I have a feeling it would be because it was Square Enix. I mean, I know it's you know.
I mean, it was an expensive game to make, but by all accounts, an Avengers game of that cachet needs to be a lot better. You know, it's Avengers Destiny, and I don't know how you mess that up.
It is, it's Destiny Light though. It's not like.
I mean, but they were never gonna do like what Destiny does with like the pieces.
I feel like this is deja vu from like 2021, just us dunking on this game. I just wish this game would go away so we don't have to have it come up in the news anymore.
We'll get like another year of it.
Ugh.
Speaking of waiting a year, I think your Galactus is shipping out. Dan Yoon tweeted Galactus will start to ship out in November.
I'm pretty excited about that. I'm a little bummed that it's going to be November. I thought it was going to be a little sooner than that, but that's cool. I'm happy for that. I've been while my mom was visiting, we did a giant rearranging of all the furniture and all the stuff in this room. I'm not done yet. So you don't get to see my cool sentinels behind me on my shoulders and stuff right now, but
you're making room for Galactus.
There will be a place for Galactus. Yes, he'll be behind me somewhere. But yeah, it was a whole chore that I've been doing still today. I was still cleaning and everything. So
he is bigger than a sentinel, right?
He's about 4 inches taller than a sentinel because of that head. The sentinels, maybe 5 inches. The sentinel's head comes to Galactus's shoulders.
Okay, that's not bad.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited. But yeah, what do you got here?
I should have looped this one back in. So Disney and Marvel are going to do a game showcase at D23, September 9th. They're just going to be showing off what's in store for the next year of games in terms of Marvel.
Okay.
The big rumors are the EA Black Panther game that's apparently in the works, and then the Amy Hennig, her game. She's the one who did Uncharted, if I'm not mistaken. And
she did Last of Us and Uncharted.
So she is working on a Marvel game, but
that's cool.
To be known what it is. So we'll probably see.
I just want the Wolverine game and Spider-Man 2.
I would hope we get Spider-Man 2. I feel like Wolverine's too far along, too far along.
I mean, they work pretty fast, so we'll see.
We'll see Midnight Suns.
Well, that one got pushed to like next year, right?
Yeah.
But they're still putting out trailers and stuff for it.
Yeah. You gotta get those pre-order numbers up.
Gotcha.
Speaking of pre-orders.
I'll take over from here. The Marvel Legends team scheduled a live stream last week, I think last Tuesday or Wednesday or something like Wednesday. And I thought they were just going to talk about a lot of the stuff they showed at Comic-Con, but then they kind of did. It was a half and half, but they ended up showing us there were some figures that they showed us at Comic-Con, but they didn't say how they'd be coming out officially. And so here they are. We got a brand new 4th wave of Disney Plus figures. It's from the various shows on Disney Plus. As they've shown before at Comic-Con, we get a He Who Remains with a nice green apple. And we also get a classic Loki. Keep going, Ricky. And then we get that Howard the Duck from What If and the Ant-Man head also. But then they also threw in the Red Skull from What If.
Right there.
And it is some reuse, but you got to remember that figure only ever released as a Comic-Con exclusive with the Tesseract. So nobody outside of people who bought it at Comic-Con ever had a chance to get this figure. So
I just
yeah.
bought it for that dumb Tesseract now.
Oh, I did the reverse. So I wish you would have told me that. And
Oh
I would
well, are you
leave.
gonna buy that Loki with the Tesseract?
I am buying the Loki. I already bought the Loki
Oh,
with the
I'll go
Tesseract.
halvesies on for that Tesseract.
You can have my old Tesseract. But there's still more figures in the wave. Keep going. We got some more from What If. We got What If Iron Man and What If, Zombie Iron Man and Zombie Scarlet Witch. I love her freaking hair.
Those are all
That
reused
is
too, right?
what?
Those are all reused too. The bodies.
Parts are reused. The Iron Man, if you look close, he actually has pieces of his armor torn out, and you can see his ribs and stuff.
Okay, yeah, I see
And he's
that.
got bone on his arm. Yeah, it was pretty subtle, but like it's pretty cool to see. Like they actually chopped up an Iron Man toy to give you that extra zombie detail. And then the Wanda's got like it's the body is from old, I think, Civil War Wanda, but like they give her all the zombie things you need. I mean, she looks cool. And then to round out the wave, you get Jimmy Woo from WandaVision.
That's good.
I know everybody wanted a Jimmy Woo figure, so there it is.
He has a little card,
and he's got a card he plays with. And then the Build-A-Figure is probably the best Build-A-Figure I've seen in a long freaking time. It is a badass Khonshu. I wish I had a picture to show you of how tall he is relative to a Marvel Legend. He's huge, man. He's really, really tall. He's appropriate to what he looked like in the show. And he just looks freaking
I like
awesome.
how they did the head. That's cool.
Yeah. There's like this weird like neck that's like energy to kind of support it up. Yeah, it's translucent. And then they showed a few figures of this one before at Comic-Con. They showed a Razorback and a Human Fly, but they also finally announced that there would be not like we got an Amazon exclusive box set in the Venom set last or 2 weeks ago, but then apparently one was not enough. They're doing a second one, a second Amazon exclusive box set. It is an Ultimate Spider-Man versus some of his weirdest freaking enemies ever. It's
bottom of the barrel.
You could easily say bottom of the barrel. Sea Cow Soda just wanted to chime in on Khonshu. Best Build-A-Figure of a toxic role player ever. good call. But yeah, the cool thing is this Spider-Man, you can't quite see it from my pictures, but he's actually got a purple tint to him.
Yeah, he's like a little sheen. He looks really cool.
He's a purple sheen, and he's actually on the younger kid size buck. So it's actually supposed to be Ultimate Spider-Man from the Ultimate line of comics. And I love him because he actually looks exactly like the Ultimate Spider-Man from the video game Shattered Dimensions, in which like 4 different Spider-Man from different realities all come together. But yeah, the purple symbiote costume just looks really cool. But then yeah, you also get the Human Fly, which I mean, yay, Molten Man, which actually surprisingly, Molten Man's a pretty classic Spider-Man villain that we've never gotten a comic book figure for ever in Marvel Legends. So that's really cool.
Like, I mean, is this what he looks like in the Ultimates, or is he just generally looking like?
No, that's what he looks like normally. It's not really an Ultimates thing. It's just the Spider-Man is Ultimates. Okay. Everybody else this is what they look like in the regular 616.
It's dumb.
That's Razorback. I mean, I did say they're his dumbest villains, so there you go. And then there's Silvermane, which actually we've gotten his head before on a little racing car, RC car, and you could choose to put that head on an Ultron body and it would work fine. Well, they just went ahead and gave you
that is an Ultron body, right?
That's an Ultron / Beetle, Ultimate Beetle body. But it's painted at least to look nice for Silvermane.
I broke that figure.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And then just never missing a beat. Yesterday, when right after She-Hulk dropped on Disney Plus, around 10 a.m. in the morning, they finally released the pre-order for the She-Hulk figure for the previous Disney Plus wave, which is Infinity Ultron Build-A-Figure. So this is a weird wave that they've been giving us one piece at a time throughout the whole year since Hawkeye, right? I think, or yeah.
I mean, this one's been cooking for a while because it still has the plastic covering. It has the older She-Hulk
Yeah,
logo.
it's true. It's true. Yeah, if you notice, the other wave that I showed you has the new boxes without showing the plastic covering. So this is one of probably the last wave of Marvel Legends that's going to have the window to
Spoilers,
see
she
certain
wears
toys.
this suit.
Yeah, spoilers. We've seen that in the trailer, but I bought that super quick because I was really excited. I think it's a great likeness. The photoreal printing that they do on these faces is so impressive. I think it looks exactly like the way
It
her
does look
character
like
looks.
her. I
Yeah.
wish they would like give her like a mean face. I want a
But
mean.
that's the thing. Like, she doesn't really need to make mean faces though. Like, that's kind of her deal. We can talk about that later.
Mhm.
Um and I don't need her to smile more. So I'm cool with
Oh,
it.
I didn't say that, but
Yeah. Yeah. Uh and then C Cow Soda asked, why do you think they changed the logo? So weird.
well, the current one's like from the comic, right?
What are we talking about? The logo on the figure?
Yeah, yeah, the She-Hulk logo.
Oh, it is a little different, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because they got old design, they got old production art designs. That's why Hasbro's always working with such old stuff that like they can't
I
keep
mean,
up
what
with
was
that.
the She-Hulk? Was that announced at D23, the last one?
No, or yes, She-Hulk was
Yeah.
announced at D23.
Okay, that's been a minute.
In fairness, though, like it could they could update the logo by the time the box actually hits.
Sure.
Dude,
Yeah.
this is supposed to arrive like in March
Oh,
of 2023. So there's a good chance I could see it with the correct logo by the time it comes out. But yeah, that's all the Marvel Legends stuff. And I know I always do this. Like, we always like spend a decent amount of time talking about these, and I never really clarify why we do these toys versus any other toys. And it's honestly because like if you're a Marvel fan, there are there is no other line in existence that will cover the breadth of characters that Marvel Legends will. Like, they go deep cuts. I mean, you can go pay for a super nice Spider-Man figure from Japan, but you will never get a human fly or a razorback from Japan. It's just never going to happen. It's not. It's not. So if you love like all of Marvel, like I do, unfortunately, you like to see all the toys playing together. That's the line, and that's why I love it. I mean, I guess Funko probably comes close, but I don't know if there's a Funko Razorback or Human Fly.
I
You
think
know
yeah,
what I
they're
mean?
pretty selective, but they can crank if people wanted it, they will get a Funko Razorback in like
Yeah, for
2
sure.
weeks.
The cool thing about Marvel Legends is sometimes we get figures that we didn't know we wanted. You know what I mean? Like, nobody knew we wanted a Razorback until
I
they showed
wonder
us a
like if
Razorback.
there's just like their R&D is just like taking apart figures, putting them together in weird ways, and like this looks like this guy.
That's exactly what they do. No, they have like the lead designer Dwight Stahl has all of the figures on his shelves, like all of them in front of him, so that he can see them and they can look at what pieces they could take from one to another, and then maybe just tool. Because when they're tooling, they're making new pieces, new molds that they have to like create, and so they always try to have like they have a tooling budget for every wave, and so you know whenever they can reuse, they do. But I don't think that's a horrible thing that they reuse parts, because like the reality is a lot of the comic book characters created in the 60s and 70s and 80s, they just have skin tight outfits, right? So like
Yeah.
it's really just a paint job, right? But
Mhm.
like but what you can always count on them to do is the MCU figures. Those are always like brand new sculpts, and that She-Hulk is like, look at her suit, it's textured and everything, like
Yeah.
it's really cool.
I
So
like how
they
they do the thigh swivel right on the
right on the shorts, right on
yeah,
the cut.
that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it's just a perfect place to put it. Yeah. So that's why I'm obsessed with this line, because it lets me have the entire Marvel universe in my hand, and it's why we talk about video games that also let us do that too. But yeah, as a Marvel fan, you like Marvel Legends if you like
You
Marvel
got me into
Legends.
them. They are quality toys. So
Yeah, yeah. Even if the price has gone up so many times in the last like year and a half. But yeah, that's all I got for news and Marvel Legends. Ricky, I apologize. I really did want to whip together a trivia, but the day got away from me. I can find trivia about the shows that we're going to talk about and ask them to you in the form of questions.
Sure.
And see how that goes. That's probably not going to go well. But why don't we start with Harley Quinn just to get this?
Yeah.
So we end on a Marvel.
Let's bust it out.
All right. So we waited long enough. We're putting a spotlight on Harley Quinn season 3, episodes 5 and 6 because we didn't have a show last week to do 5. And so just fair warning, before we do that, spoiler warning. If you haven't watched either of the episodes yet, the newest one came out yesterday. So we understand, if you haven't had a chance to do that, feel free to turn away and come back when you have. You'll thank us later. And that same goes for She-Hulk when we get to it later in the evening. That said, for anyone who chose to ignore the warning, I got some quick recaps for the episodes that I thought, they're the really quick summaries. Just kind of like to, I guess, remind Ricky where we're at. But the first episode, episode 5, was called "It's a Swamp Thing," and really, it's Harley, Ivy, and Nora visit New Orleans in search of Swamp Thing, who just might be able to help them find Frank. And then the second episode was called "Joker: The Killing Vote." When Joker runs for mayor of Gotham, Two-Face attempts to sabotage his campaign. I just want to, before we go into this, like, I'm so happy because 2 weeks ago we sat here on the show saying, I'm not feeling Harley Quinn this season. I'm not feeling it right now. I was giving it the benefit of the doubt on the first show we did with Brian with all 3 episodes. I was like, it's funny, but I hope it gets better. And then by the 4th episode, I was like, man, it's not getting better. But
no, we got like a weird slump.
Yeah, it was weird, right? But I mean, do you agree? Do you think 5 and 6 were great?
Yeah, I think they're the strongest ones yet. It feels like a return to form because we were talking about it earlier. Like they bring back, I think, the joke is of the weird characters that exist in the DC universe, as opposed to the first 3 episodes. The joke was how annoying Harley was or is, and
yeah,
I don't think that works. I don't think highlighting Harley's
insecurities
is like what made that show great. It's a part of the mix, but it's not why you're there.
Yeah, I think it's I would definitely say that it's a part of the reason you are there, but I think the portions weren't adding up right?
Yeah,
because there was some fun stuff with Nightwing in one of the episodes, and Gordon was just being wacky with Two-Face for several episodes before, but none of it was hitting right. And even Batman and Catwoman, but I think the balance of the Harley Ivy stuff to whatever other wacky explorations of DC characters, just the mix was correct this time around for these last 2 episodes. Yeah. And we got to have visits with Swamp Thing and John Constantine. Yep. And then we got to have Honora Freeze as well come back, played by Rachel Dratch, and I just freaking love her every time. The Swamp Thing episode, we can talk about that one first if you want, but I just rewatched that one again today, and it was cracking me up because it was steeped in lore. There was a lot of good DC lore there, which was Ivy was still trying to find her friend Frank, who's gone missing, and she was trying to access the green, which is like the thing in DC universe that all plant characters or whatever can connect to. And so I thought it was cool that they were kind of explaining the green without like going way in depth.
Yeah, you kind of knew it was.
Yeah, but then when it got time to like explain, I'm not the best at this, and they immediately just tell you who the best is at this, and it's Swamp Thing because he's a freaking weird ass freak. And which makes it even funnier when you find out later that Nora Freeze let him inside of her and vice versa, so but yeah, what were your highlights from that one, if you had any?
Oh god, the man bun on Swamp Thing. Like when they put the hipster spin on him, that's just hilarious because that's yeah. I mean, he's all about saving the earth. Of course, he's gonna be all hipstered out and live in the swamp.
He
I
also had a
also
beard
yeah,
too.
yeah, like a weird like they gave her like they gave him hipster traits, but still worked it in his like Swamp Thing aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah. Um, was that was the highlight? Was just
Oh, that was a highlight, but I was surprised. Like Nora Jones or no Nora Jones,
Nora Freeze.
Nora Freeze. um, is she a main player in the comics? I mean, I know she's Frozen. I only know her in her Frozen state, not in her
Yeah, I
non-Frozen
mean, I'm
state.
pretty sure generally most of the time she's frozen in the comics. I mean, it's possible she's been unfrozen at times and stuff, but like I think that was kind of like the fun of the Harley Quinn show in the first two seasons, right? Is they took this character that had no character
Hmm.
and they just said, "Hey, Rachel Dretch, would you like to play her?" And they just let her run wild, like she gets an Uber and she's like, we just did coke in the butt, like it's she just does whatever things the writers feel like having her do because she's not tethered to anything. There's just not there's there's no limit to what Nora Freeze can do.
None.
And so I think that automatically made that episode better is because anytime they're taking these DC characters that are, cherished or known for being one thing, um, and then they just go bonkers with it. That's what makes it fun.
Hmm.
That said, I still liked John Constantine in the show, even though he was exactly John Constantine. Like he wasn't he didn't need to be bonkers for his guest spot to
No,
work because by definition he just already is
just a
kind of
yeah.
out there. So I thought it was cool that they just got Matt Ryan to show up and just play the character he always plays. He didn't have to play the comedy version of him. He's just the guy that would be at a random bar
Like
in
who
the
the
in
guy who has the Swamp Thing map.
yeah, he's the guy who would know how to get to Swamp Thing, and he happens to be drinking at that bar. That's the kind of things John Constantine would do anyway. So, yeah, it was interesting how like they kept him right in the pocket. Like he didn't have to do anything zany or anything at all. I mean, they put a funny shirt on him, like after he wakes up in the morning and stuff like, and he's got like a funny, demon lingerie picture in his wallet and stuff. But like he himself just showed up, got a check for doing the thing that he's so great at doing every week or every movie or animated movie, whatever. I love that guy as John
It's the same
Constantine.
guy throughout it all the animated in the shows.
Ever since they brought him, they gave him his own show on NBC many years ago that got canceled after one season. Every iteration of John Constantine has been played by that guy because even though they canceled the show, they knew the fans loved him. Like he is the best part of that show by a mile. Like I don't need to go back and rewatch the show because he just continues to go play that character elsewhere. But he's so perfect as John Constantine that fans know that, and that's why they don't like. It's fun when like they go and cast all these different characters that you'd never expect to play or actors to play these characters. Like I think it's Sam Richardson plays Swamp Thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a way you'd never heard Swamp Thing before. Very bro-ish and really funny. And like that's funny. It's funny when they give you comedic actors the chance to go and play these characters, but nobody wants to hear anybody play John Constantine if it's not Matt Ryan. And so I think that was cool. Like I was thinking about that when I was watching the episodes with Bruce, and how like it's so funny that they chose Diedrich Bader to be the guy who gets to be this ridiculous version of Batman. And like there's been so many Bruces, you know, but like that's the one they like. But yeah, Matt Ryan is just Constantine. That said, that reminds me, Bruce and Selena had their own adventure on that episode too. Did you have any questions or want to talk about that one?
Yeah, who's Mixmaster? Or the Mix Master.
The
Music Master.
The Music Meister. Meister. Yes.
Who's that?
That is an old school Batman villain. They updated him significantly to look like he was from like Run DMC or something like that. And obviously he was a white character when he was created in like the 40s or 50s or
like
whatever.
That's what threw me off. Like it wasn't until they said his name, it's like I started putting two and two together.
I started figuring out who he was before they said his name. But I also like that about, you know, I like when they take a character and just update it to the point where you're not sure that's them until you get a little bit more hints, you know, and then you're like, okay, I see what we're doing here. It's the Music Meister, you know. I thought that was pretty cool. I was gonna see who played him in that. Oh, Larry Owens. I don't know that I know who Larry Owens is.
Larry Owens.
I've never seen anything. Oh, maybe Search Party. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this actor, but it was really cool. It was a cool role. But he basically, like, what was crazy about that episode was, you know, because they had a B story going on while the gang is all in Louisiana, which, by the way, they kind of wrote off like King Shark and Clayface on that episode. They're just not even really in that episode after they leave.
Well, there's an episode coming up called another Shark Lee adventure. So,
well, there you go. That's fair. But while they were gone in New Orleans, they wanted to show you what Selena was up to with Bruce, and basically Alfred drugged the two of them and put them in a couples therapy with. He basically got a super villain to come who forces people to sing against their will, like sing out their feelings or whatever they're experiencing. He can turn your show into a musical, is what is the purpose of the Music Meister. I'm pretty sure he's an old ass character, but like I first learned of him in the Batman Brave and the Bold show.
He seems like the perfect Batman Brave and the Bold villain.
Yeah. Do you know who played him in that show?
No.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Of course.
You're all, of course.
Of course.
He
looks very silly.
Hold on a second.
His man is full on zoot suit.
Oh, you know what? I was wrong. I was so wrong. That is the one in the cartoon is the first time that character ever appeared.
Oh, really?
Neil Patrick Harris played the first appearance ever of the Music Meister. I guess that makes sense because the music character really wouldn't work on print. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, that makes sense.
The gag only works in TV or radio.
Yeah, you need the song.
Yeah. Wow. I just felt like when I saw him, he just like the whole joke of Batman Brave and the Bold, which is an old cartoon from like 2012 or something like that, not super old, but is that they deep dive into like the oldest Batman villains that you didn't know of. And so when they brought in the Music Meister, I think everybody, or at least myself, I assumed that was an old one that I just never heard of, but apparently that was a character first created then. So that gives them even more liberties to play with, in this. If he's only appeared, there in one other show, I think it's fine to just completely
Well, they
revamp
changed his
it.
colors, but he has the gap in his teeth.
He has the gap in his teeth, and he has the musical notes on his body.
Yep.
Yeah, and the same power. But that's pretty funny. I'm shocked. I did not know that. Oh, there was a live action version of this character that appeared in Supergirl and The Flash, played by Darren Criss as well.
Of course, because they probably wanted the musical episode.
Yeah, exactly. The same deal. Same deal. That's really funny, man. They just created a character that is specifically for all the TV shows to make them sing. I love it. I love it. But anyways, yeah, he makes Selena sing and he makes Bruce sing, and it's freaking ridiculous. And Diedrich Bader is not a great singer, and I think that's kind of the joke of it. Is Bruce's singing was rough, and as soon as the therapy was done, Bruce kept wanting to sing, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't have to sing anymore. Don't worry."
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good. And then yeah, I think the whole, like, the funniest conceit of that whole episode was at the very end, when Ivy finally comes to terms with her feelings towards Frank, and or like how she has a friend that she cares about and she really wants to do something, but she feels helpless and all these things, and then she really needs the Swamp Thing to help her, find Frank, and then he's like, "Oh, you don't need my help. You can do it on your own now that you've come in, you've gotten in touch with your feelings." And she's like, "Oh, I really hate when it's a whole, you had the power all inside you all along kind of thing." And I like that she made the joke because
Yeah, they call out the trope.
it's a trope, and that's what that episode ended up being. But it was funny, I enjoyed it for just playing with the ridiculousness of it. And at the end of the day, Harley Quinn got her beignets, which was her whole, that was her MacGuffin for the whole episode, pretty much. She just wanted Louisiana beignets, and she got them. But yeah, no, for as ridiculous or as boring as I just made that sound, I just really loved everything about that episode except one thing.
What was bugging you?
I'm curious if you're able to guess. There was one thing. What, and if you can't get it right away, I
Is it
will give
Swamp
you a
Thing
hint.
related?
No,
Then it's Batman related.
it is. It is Batman related.
Is it that he has a prisoner?
No, but you're close.
Okay, lay it on me.
I was really bummed at the last scene of the episode where they show you that Batman is the one keeping Frank in his lab, and he's like working on him or whatever, and he's not wearing the Batman suit. Like, that just hurt my brain. He's just dressed as Bruce. I don't think Batman ever does Batman stuff not dressed as Batman. You know what I mean?
Like practical, right?
Like him, his preference is to be Batman. So, especially knowing that Frank is a sentient being, like, unless your plan is for that plant to not leave alive, like, what are you doing showing your face to him? You know what I mean?
Batman only saves people, right? Like,
that just irked me when I saw that this time around. I kind of forgot it the first time I watched it last week, but when I rewatched it today, I was just like, I know that the real reason is so that Harley and Ivy can find Frank by going to like Bruce Wayne's house or whatever, but like, it just rubbed me wrong to ever see an instance of Batman not being Batman correctly. That was weird. I'll let it go for the show. I'll let it go.
I think for Harley Quinn, the Harley Quinn show, you're not looking for the most accurate Batmanisms.
I guess it's fair. I mean, he's allowed to be dumb on this show, I suppose. But yeah, and then the second episode that came out yesterday, the sixth episode, but it's the second one for us to talk about. Uh, the the killing vote, Joker, the killing vote.
It was almost like a what if story. I really dug it. Like it's just the Joker doing doing his Joker thing, but without killing, and it's hilarious.
the the fact that this opened to like a TGIF style like theme song that went "Wait till they get a load of us" as the first lyric of the song, that was so ridiculous. But yeah, no, it was an entire episode done from the Joker's perspective, which is actually something I think I asked a few weeks ago when we had Brian on the show. We were kind of making predictions of where things could go, and I was like, I want a Joker check in. I want an entire episode that lets us see where the hell
There you go.
Joker and his family is going on, because like I know this show's about Harley Quinn, but they built some really rich characters around her and her universe. And I'm sorry, I'm too invested in Joker and his whole family that he's adopted and like and that the fact that he's trying to actually be a legit dad for these kids. Oh my god. I was so happy with this episode. It was so stupid and it was just ridiculous. But yeah, no, he you got to see him have like nightmares about somebody else on the school board or something like that. Like
Yeah, like you get to see like he's at a point where he fears like the PTO meeting. Like he's having these like weird flashbacks with
PTA,
his or
PTA, yeah,
PTA meetings. Yeah,
yeah.
PTA meetings. You know, and his new like nemesis is just like this other mom.
Played by Amy Sedaris.
Is that who that was?
That was Amy
That
Sedaris.
sounds yeah. Okay, I get it
Yeah,
now. I hear it.
I love her. No, yeah, and it was just super funny because he's trying to he's got this woman that like he's like whispering, bitch under his mouth whenever he can about her. Like the ways that she irks him are so hilarious to me because it's like the whole city of Gotham has just accepted that the Joker, who was the most notorious murderer in all of Gotham City, is now fully reformed and you can talk shit to him without worrying at all. And like that just cracked me up. Like he just handed her a plate of chicken adobo and she just wolfed it down without even a slight concern that it might be poison or anything or have Joker toxin in it or anything. Nothing. Like, and I kept waiting for those things. I think that's the whole gag of the
That's the
episode,
funny.
right?
Like he could totally kill any of these people.
Yeah, he could kill them at any single time ever. Anybody who's like getting in the way of his kids or his wife, anything, he could always kill, but he's choosing not to. And it's just too funny, man. Like he's going through the red tape and then
It's just the
eventually
escalation of it's also what's hilarious. Like
yeah, and then eventually he just freaking gives up, but he doesn't even give up in the way that you would think he's going to give up, like cuz like so in case you understood that the show was like parodying the Killing Joke, right?
yes.
Like have you read The Killing Joke before?
No.
Uh, do you know the premise of The Killing Joke?
Is that the one where he kills a Robin?
No. No. It's the one where he paralyzes Batgirl.
Okay.
So the idea of Killing Joke, which I highly recommend reading it. It's actually a really short comic. It was written by Alan Moore, the great writer who wrote like V for Vendetta, Watchmen, and like a lot of other great stories. When he wrote this comic, like it was just like mind blowing for a lot of people because the whole idea of it, and it's kind of like the basis of like the Joker movie, is
Is this where you get like the Red Hood? Like
yes, yeah.
okay.
The whole point of the Joker is that if you took any single person
Yeah.
and gave them the worst day of their lives, they would snap from society, like societal constraints, and they would go off the rails and do whatever it is they do. And so to prove that to Batman, he does these horrible things to Commissioner Gordon, who is Batman's best friend, right? So he uh, shoots. It starts with him shooting Barbara in the spine. She's paralyzed. There's an implied rape. There's a lot of horrible photos that he takes of her laying on the ground instead of paramedics being called or whatever, all these things. And then he ends up kidnapping Gordon and putting him on this amusement park ride. And throughout the ride, he's subjected to all these images of his poor daughter. And just like he's trying to give Gordon the worst day of his life to show Batman that Gordon will choose, to go and kill and stuff like that in retaliation. And it doesn't quite work because Batman, saves the day and kind of proves things. But what I thought was really funny is like this, this episode's called The Killing Boat. And it's all about the Joker trying to work within the system. And at every point, he's getting shut down, right? He keeps getting like cock blocked on every single thing he wants to do for his family. And eventually he snaps, which, is the whole point. But like the way he snaps is so like left field, because his choice to snap is to run for mayor. Like he's like the whole thing sucks. The whole system's stupid. I'm going to fix it from the inside. And that's, oh man, that's too funny. I can't handle that. And the funniest thing about it is like, I didn't like it in the other episodes when I didn't like the whole Gordon Two-Face like campaign manager dynamic thing that was going on. Something about it wasn't like really making me laugh, but it worked in this episode for me. Like it worked watching this progression of Gordon and Two-Face and their relationship.
Yeah. But it also makes it like it justifies that relationship now, right? Like well, shit. Now I gotta work with Two-Face to beat the Joker in the,
well, is he? Because I thought he dropped out of the race.
Yeah, but what I mean.
Yeah, but until he met the Joker and saw that he was completely reformed and saw that the Joker actually cares about policy. He cares about the dual immersion program at the school.
I love how like Barbara like starts siding with the Joker too.
She becomes a Joe bro, right? Like I think, or the sane clown posse is what she prefers to have the stands for the Joker. Yeah, no, it was really funny, and like I really enjoyed watching. I never got tired of the joke where Gordon kept getting double crossed by Two-Face, and he's like, "Wait, but why would you do that? You promised." He's like, "Bro, this is not fun for me anymore." He's like, "It's literally my name." I never got tired of that. It was too funny. And then the episode ended with I think the Joker is going to be the mayor of Gotham City, and Harley and Ivy show up from their vacation in New Orleans, and they're like, "What the hell? We were gone for 4 days." And so, so the Joker is the mayor now, and I think you could only ever do that in this show, like, or I guess a What If, right? But like,
yeah, and it'd be okay. Like, I mean, this show just explores the zany, right? Like,
yeah, but it's exactly that. It's doing stuff that should never actually happen, and that's kind of why we liked Harley the first 2 seasons. Is it's a giant what if to the DC universe, and I think the first 3 episodes were just not a what if that was of anything like, I guess, interesting, because we were already what ifing. What if Harley and Ivy got together for the first 2 seasons? And so I don't think I actually needed like
Like
three
the dog
episodes.
catching chasing a car and catching it. Like once they were together, I don't think
Yeah,
they had a plan on what's to do,
I think they do have a plan. I just think it didn't come
or the
through
payoff of
the
what
way they wanted it in the first few episodes. Yeah. I still think I'm changing my tune. Like earlier in the season, I was like, I think they're going to break up. But now the more I see it, I think I'm seeing signs of their relationship becoming stronger and stronger. And so hopefully they're learning from each other. It is really funny how Harley always has to say, like, as your girlfriend, blah blah blah, as a therapist, blah blah blah, like she does that constantly. And so I'm wondering if one day Ivy's just going to say, you need to stop, it's a lot. She's a very clingy partner. And but Ivy loves her, so I think it's going to work out. But I think the bigger thing that I want to see work out is I want to see Ivy's plan to terraform all of Earth. Like that would be that would just that would be the ultimate what if for that show. Is just
Now they all live on plant
they
land.
just yeah, just destroy all up, like tear down all the cities and everything. I also really like the moment on the roller coaster where you see a shadowy figure drop down, and Benicio's like, Superman, and then like they're like, oh no, it's just Gordon. Yeah, you can go back to screaming now. Like, or when they finally get off the thing, and Benicio's like really hurt, and Joker catches, or he goes and gets him, and he's like, oh, you're okay, thank God, you're okay. Physically, like mentally, this is traumatizing. This is like, I really appreciated that. That was good.
Oh, man, it's just I think just the nature of that whole we didn't talk about but the reasoning is he wants to get his kids into like the dual language classes, like something super hyper specific.
Yeah, because his characters
because he cares.
His family's from a Latin, they're a Latinx, right? And so he wants them to not forget
People are
Spanish.
making fun of Benicio because
and
of his name.
Yeah, he wants his kids to be accepted in the other student body, to like understand what it's like to to have two languages and stuff. And like these are really progressive woke agendas that the Joker has, and it's like it's mind-blowing that he's the guy that is holding up the standards of what Gotham should be. That is why this is the ultimate what if show right there. Because what's funny is that Bruce Wayne, meanwhile, is the guy with all the resources that could actually make effective change in his city. And what he's doing with his time and money is buying Catwoman cats named Thomas and Martha. To which her response, by the way, was so good when she said, is the only thing you know about me that I like cats? Oh man, that was so good. But yeah, Bruce Wayne is just like, he's just a jackass, right? Like
and he would be like, he's a billionaire. Like, I'm not saying all billionaires are bad people, but there's just an arrogance that just goes with it, right? Like,
yeah.
But
yeah. Well, I'm glad that we could talk about this one and not nitpick a lot and just be like,
I mean, it makes me want to keep watching.
Again. Yeah.
Like, it was definitely like a rough start to the season. So now I'm hoping we finish off strong. Like, I'll be happy if it continues on.
Yeah, last week I was not excited for Thursday. This week I was very excited for Thursday because I was like, I want to watch both shows. I was excited. So I will be excited for the next few Thursdays now, knowing that we get Harley Quinn and we get She-Hulk. But with that, do you want to switch over to She-Hulk?
Hell yeah.
All right. Okay. this is the same rule applies here. Spoiler warning for She-Hulk. Yeah, it just came out yesterday. The first episode, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, is the full title. This episode was called A Normal Amount of Rage. And it's basically, here's the super quick summary. Jen Walters' world is turned upside down after a freak accident leaves her with superpowers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most simple explanation Disney Plus could ever give. I could talk a lot about this, but I kind of want to see what you want to say about this first.
I know She-Hulk. I know who she is. I know the bullet points. But I've not read a She-Hulk comic. So this is pretty new to me. All of the She-Hulk isms, we'll say that.
Yeah.
And watching this last night, it was kind of the same breath of fresh air that I kind of got with Miss Marvel. But the adult knob was turned up maybe 2 clicks, and I think that's what put the icing on the cake for me. Because Miss Marvel was very much a teen comedy show, and this one's a little bit more adult in that sense. And those types of conversations and the jokes and the things you can play with in that space work so well for this show.
Yeah. I was quite shocked by some of the adult humor that got thrown in there, but they were very clearly, staking their claim, right? Mm-hmm. They were basically saying, "Look, Miss Marvel was this thing, Moon Knight was this other thing. We're this. Yeah, this is what we want to be. We want to be the slightly more adult comedy.
Like you're getting that like 9 o'clock sitcom energy from this show.
Yeah. And that's honestly like it's a weird thing because like I'm a Marvel comic fan. I started my love for Spider-Man was first. He was my first love. Then I just kind of stuck with Spider-Man for like years and years and years. I would read big, events, every now and then I'd read some X-Men. But pretty much I just kind of stayed to those 2 books, like really. But then like once my friend Clark turned me on to Daredevil, I just kind of like my love for Marvel just kind of blew up. And like I just started reading, like there was a point like around 2003 when I just started
right around
buying
that movie.
2003?
The movie came out in like in 2003, right?
What 3? What movie?
The Daredevil movie.
Oh, maybe. But Marvel was just putting out a lot of really good new comics and stuff. And so I just started kind of reading everything. So like they were putting out number 1s for like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and the Punisher and whatever. Man, I was grabbing it all and reading it. And some was just sitting on the back burner until I could find time to do it. But I swear, when I actually took time to read She-Hulk, I was like, where has this been all my life? I think the art, the Greg Horn famous like art like covers that they did, one of which is behind me. It's kind of hard to see, but I do have it actually on the wall above me. Those really drew me into the comics too, because like I like Greg Horn because he does like a realistic kind of realistic but still comic style. I don't like Alex Ross because I don't know, he just makes everybody look fat.
I like his covers
and old and but Greg Horn's art really brought me in, and so but then the writing was just so cool, like, and that's when I started seeing, I was like, this is a comedy. This comic is a straight up comic, you know what I mean? Like, and it was about the zany adventures of this character that, her origin, it's pretty clear cut, right? Like you get it really fast, right? You get it. It's like, oops, got a blood transfusion from the Hulk. Now I'm a Hulk, and But the real meat and potatoes of the She-Hulk comic is she works for a law firm that ends up involved in some of the most ridiculous court cases that could only occur in the Marvel universe. And so what I really loved about this episode, and yeah, for some reason she breaks the fourth wall. That's her thing.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of comedy that goes on in her comics. And so what I loved about this episode is how concise it was. It was only a 38-minute episode, probably really 32 minutes if you're not counting the credits. And in it, they told everybody who knew nothing about She-Hulk everything they needed to know.
They did the fourth wall thing and like, hey, let's get it. And they joke about it too. Like, let's get it out of the way. Like,
yeah,
like this is what happened.
And then, yeah, here's what happened. You either accept it or you turn the TV off and go. Because like, if at this point you're not able to accept that the blood from Hulk could make his cousin do this, like, why are you even watching these things? You know what I mean? Like, why? So,
well, and you kind of, while watching it and seeing like the Smart Hulk stuff, like, yeah, we're almost at 15 years of a Smart Hulk, or not smart, but of the Hulk in the Hulk in the MCU. So it's such an easy pill to swallow, and they subtly remind you of that fact that like we're in it, like we're in that, like this is
we are not so subtly
so deep in the MCU right now.
They not so subtly remind you of things that you have just grown to accept in that universe too. You know what I mean? Like the lullaby thing being one of the tricks that he uses to like churn back into Banner. And she's like, could you please walk me through step by step how that works? And he's like, I really don't have a good answer for that, you know, like, and it's funny because like, it's true. Like this is the, one of the most fun parts about like doing this show with you is your brain like has these crazy tangents that it goes on sometimes. And I can only ever remember every single time that something Hulk related has broke your brain or something or something even, you know, even otherwise not related to Hulk. But like, I'll always go back to, this is the same universe that the Hulk exists. You know what I mean? Like, and so it just cracks me up. Like the other day you were watching it and he's like, I just don't understand why he's got glasses. Wouldn't his eyes get stronger? And I'm like, that's the line. That's the line for you.
I mean, he could have astigmatism, but like,
still. I'm just saying he's had his arm in a brace for like 5 years, but like, yeah, it's the eyes.
I mean, they showed me a dumb device, right? So it's like it's healing him. So
yeah, but no, I really love that like this episode accepted all of the conceits, which is the Hulk is a weird one that we're not really ever. We kind of love that you as an audience accept it at face value, because if you examine this one too much, it really doesn't make sense. You know, like it doesn't. Like, does it make sense that her hair grows and then shrinks every time she turns into She-Hulk and straightens also?
But I would argue like the Hulk is up there with Spider-Man and Batman. That everyone kind of knows his deal and we all accept it. There's not a lot of those characters, but he is definitely one of them where he's been in pop culture for, you know, from his TV show, from his other movies. Like, everyone just knows what the Hulk's deal is. He's smart. He gets bigger when he's angry.
He's Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
he's Jekyll and Hyde at his core. And that's what I love about this episode is it doesn't make any apologies for what it is, which is, hey, you know what the Hulk is? What if we did it but funny?
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's what this is. That's what it's going to be. And that's what I was so excited for, because the entire origin was taken care of in 30 minutes. So that like now it can do whatever it wants for the next 5 weeks. You know what I mean? Like Miss Marvel took how long?
We had to go back in time.
She had to go back in time. Moon Knight even took a little while before we actually got to see some decent Moon Knighting. You know what I mean? Like, but this one,
we had a full 30-minute Hulk show.
A full 30-minute Hulk show. Yes.
Like, that's crazy.
And it blows my mind that there are people out there complaining about that. Like, that's like, I don't get it, man. It just hurts my head. Like, but so long story short, as a fan of the comics, I was so happy yesterday because I've waited so long for She-Hulk to be part of the MCU. I freaked out when I read the announcement because I was at D23 that day. I chose not to go to that panel, and I was at my hotel room and I just looked at what was announced and I was like, I screamed in my hotel room because it's like, finally.
It's wild we're this far into it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was really funny to me because I was chatting with our friend Travis the other day yesterday about this show, and like he was really funny because on the first watch he didn't love it and he was like citing all the CG and blah blah, Avatar better, blah blah, and I was like, hey man, hey, let's talk again when Avatar can produce a limited show in under 3 years, like a limited series. And he's like, that's kind of my point though, right? Is like, should you be doing a show about a girl that's entirely 6'7" and green if the technology is not there? And I was like, I felt like the technology was there enough.
It is. I'll go back to this point. It's just my speculation, my opinion. I think they figured out the bar of quality where it is acceptable. It's below Infinity War or Endgame level. It's definitely below. But
I think it's above Infinity War because Infinity War had that ghetto ass bobblehead Mark Ruffalo head on top of
that was a funky situation though. That was like very last minute of a change though.
There's
toys for that scene that made it out. But I think there's a quality bar where they're happy with that the fans might not be happy with, but the spreadsheet checks out, and where if you put it at this quality, majority of the people will be happy.
I agree.
And I'm okay with that. It gets stuff out faster. It gets, ultimately it's about the story, not how many pores you can see on your face.
And I've made the joke many, many times. My bar is very clear. Is it better than the rhinos in Black Panther? I freaking love Black Panther. I love it. That scene where he wrestles a rhino is so bad.
Pretty booty.
It's so bad that it took me out of the movie for a second when I watched it.
I'll take it a step further. That final fight, up until they fall down, is pretty bad.
There's so much bad CG in one of the best superhero movies that has come out in the last 20 years. It's like it's not even arguable. That's one of the best superhero movies. There is some CG that is rough in that movie, but you know what? We're willing to forgive it because the story is so awesome. The storytelling, the acting, the writing, like everything about that makes us forgive these technical limitations. And if we can do that for Black Panther, we can do that for She-Hulk. Yeah. And I think I'm not even trying to make apologies for She-Hulk. I thought she looked good. I thought, depending on what screen I'm watching it, like I watched it on a 4K TV yesterday and I thought it looked great. I watched it on my computer today and I was like, ooh, you can.
But where the CGI falls short, the other part of the equation is it needs to be good writing. And I think the writing in this episode, as of right now, is backing up. It's pulling its own weight.
Yeah. So and the acting, right? I thought Tatiana Maslany, wow,
she's great.
I've only ever heard good things about her. I've never watched Orphan Black. I did see her as a kid in Ginger Snaps 2, but I don't think that's a good bar for the quality that she delivers. But man,
her quips are great when she has a little when it gets a little bit serious on like the anger management that all women possess inherently,
Yeah,
she strikes those chords really well.
I think she explained that better than I've ever seen it explained in the comics. Um, and I think it helped that the episode was written by a woman too. You know what I mean? Like it, like I that's the unfortunate like thing. Like I don't tend to go around recommending my favorite She-Hulk comics because the sad reality is a lot of the She-Hulk comics I read back in the day were written by men, and they have a very male centered point of view, you know, and so um, I don't apologize for me liking those stories, you know, but I do recognize that like they're probably not the best, and there are more recent ones that you can go and read that are better for that. But I love that we now have her voice told through the female's perspective, and it's great. It's great that they acknowledge that, like, Bruce, I think you're mansplaining a little bit, like how to deal with anger, because let's be honest, these are all the things I deal with on a daily basis, you know. So it was their way of saying that thing that Bruce said in Avengers, right? Which is, I'm always angry. That's my secret, right? You know, so like, but you know, Bruce just has rage issues, and that's just known. That's a known thing. I think when you say that, you know, Hulk is as famous as Spider-Man and Batman and Superman, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think he is famous for his rage, you know,
Yeah.
and so I think that's one of the coolest things about, if She-Hulk is famous, she's actually famous for the exact opposite, which is she's famous for maintaining a cool head all the time, you know. Um,
Um, to bring it back to the very beginning of the episode,
Not all the
when they
time, but
when
most.
they do the car crash, um, it's it's very similar to how her origins are in the comics. Granted, Bruce is involved in the car crash this time around versus it's just being her, right?
Yeah. So it is a change. I'll let you continue what you were saying.
Well, I was gonna talk. I want to get talking about that ship.
Oh,
They specifically name that ship and what it is.
that was a Sakaar ship.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Sakaar ship showed up. He believes it's to deliver a message.
I,
It looked like something that was sent from the Grandmaster. I thoroughly, strongly believe that we will not see anything about that ship until the end of this season
oh,
of
I
She-Hulk.
mean, that dude has a kid.
Um,
That is the only avenue that goes
yeah,
down.
no, yeah, that's probably right. You're
That
probably
is
right.
the only lane I can see. But
Well, you know, he does
uh,
have a kid in on Sakaar in the comics.
yeah, is it Scar, right?
His Scar,
Okay.
yes, is the name.
That's the only lane I see. I that's something that I didn't think they would ever do.
Oh, I think a lot of fans knew that they would figure out a way to do the Hulk, Planet Hulk story, because it is one of the most popular Hulk stories ever.
How does that
Uh,
differ than World War Hulk, Planet Hulk?
um,
They're they're connected, right?
they're two companion stories.
Okay.
Um, well, we kind of got half a Planet Hulk
In Ragnarok.
story already, which is him being sucked through a wormhole and forced to be a gladiator on Sakaar.
Mhm.
The rest of that story is a giant ripoff of John Carter from Mars, like 100%, man. Like, it's Edgar Rice Burroughs,
It's a great movie.
the guy who created Tarzan.
Mhm.
He wrote this you know, this story that sadly got adapted, you know, not so well by Disney as a movie that kind of flopped. But when I was watching that movie, I had never read the book. I had only read Planet Hulk, and I was watching this movie, and I was like, "What the hell? Planet Hulk just ripped off the entire story of this." But I think they were able to do that because not a lot of people in that time period, you know, like 10
Yeah,
years
John
ago,
Carter's
whatever,
old.
yeah, we're not. We're, yeah. I mean, Tarzan is old too. Tarzan's super old. But yeah, John Carter from Mars, it's basically they just facelifted that story and put Hulk as the center of it. But it ends with him forming a rebellion against the slave owners, the people who organize these gladiator things. It's like, basically it ends like the movie Gladiator.
It's like
Where
Spartacus, basically, right? Like,
yeah, or Spartacus or any of these things. Yeah. And the people revolt, and then the Hulk becomes the leader of that planet, and then and he ends up falling in love, uh and then you find out that there was like a bomb like on the ship that brought him there or something like that. There was a bomb on that was like that he wasn't aware of, and it detonated and it wiped out the whole freaking planet except him because he's the Hulk. He's the strongest one there is. And he was so angry about this because it was like, I don't know if it was a bomb or if it was like a malfunction on the ship. Because in the comics, it was the Illuminati chose to send the
yes,
Hulk.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're checking boxes here.
Yeah.
In my brain.
And so when the Hulk lost everything that he had formed on this planet, he got it, he got his crew together that survived or whatever, whoever, basically a handful of people that were alive, and they went back to Earth and they declared war on Earth. So that's World War Hulk. And so, but the trick is when he left, he didn't realize that like he had gotten his love pregnant, and because it was a Hulk fetus, it was able to survive the explosion, and even survive without a mother alive. And so it came to terms somehow and came out of the mud and grew up super fast, because that's how comic book kids always grow up, so that they can be old enough.
He's red, isn't he, or is he still green?
No, he's like a pale green, because his mom was gray.
Okay.
His mom was gray, and but yeah, that's a thing they'll probably do, maybe, and people would love that, and it's cool. But back to what you were talking about, the origin, of Jen. What I thought was cool about it is the one big difference. The comics, she gets in a car accident. Bruce gets called. It's he's the only family they could find, and they tell him she needs a blood transfusion. Bruce has already been the Hulk for a long time, so he's really contemplating what might happen to his cousin if he does this for her, right? And what I really love about the episode is they just make it a straight up accident with the two of them in the car. Bruce gets cut, doesn't really have a chance to think things through at all. His blood drips into her blood. Boom, done. And that's it. And my favorite thing about that is it takes that whole complicated, moment for Bruce Banner in the comics, where he's making the decision to create another monster, and he just doesn't have any agency at all. And I think it's better that way, because like, why should his decision be her story? Like it's her story. And so I rather her story be about dealing with this horrible accident that happened, and so it's cool. But I really like that she's like right now just saying, no, I'm good, everything's good, leave me alone, I'm fine, and like there's trauma there for sure that she will have to deal with at some point. But for now, she just wants to be a lawyer, and let her be a lawyer.
Yeah, I feel like that sets up the arc, right? Where it ends with her choosing to be She-Hulk all the time, right? Like I think that's where.
Well, at some point, yeah. So like that's kind of the other fun part about the character, is like there are times in the comics where she gets really addicted to being that. She was making fun of Hulk because like he's like, I'm Smart Hulk now, like you don't really get to choose these names. And she's like, it's you're
You're
endorsing
endorsing
it.
it, yeah.
So, and he's like, don't lawyer me and stuff, but the reality is like, this episode ends with her courtroom getting invaded by Titania, played by Jamila Jamil, which I know you don't get anything really other than a cartoonish battle between her and She-Hulk. But like, Jen has to Hulk out to beat this villain, and that's how it ends. And she hulks out in the courtroom for the first time. And yeah, there's going to be implications. This is going to be, the media is going to get a hold of this. She's going to become super famous all overnight, and it's how she's going to handle that fame that's going to change her, and she's going to become overly confident. She's going to become she's just going to grow to like being that character more than being herself. If it's following the comic, and it makes it awkward, right? Because like, where she may have said that there's not two people, it's always her.
Yeah.
That still can be true, but like, what does it say about her that she would rather be this thing than be the normal person that she was, for her whole life and stuff? So it's fun. It's really fun. Also, she likes to party. I don't know how, we'll see how that goes, but like, Bruce did equip her with the knowledge of, oh, you can drink like a pro now that you're a Hulk, So
I mean, it's the one thing to point out. This is the longest Disney Plus show that we're getting since WandaVision. So,
what do you mean?
It's 9 episodes.
It's 9 episodes?
Is it 9 or 8? Yeah, 9 or 8. I mean, wait, don't quote me. It's more than 6.
It is?
I thought you should know this. You're scheduling our forecast.
Oh, I just assumed it was 6 because everything's been 6, dude. I didn't. Oh, it is 9. Well, that's amazing. You just made my freaking day. It ends on October 13th.
Yeah, we're in it for
a
while.
while. Dude, I thought we were just getting 6 episodes of this show.
No. Lawyer show.
I'm so happy right now. That is awesome. So yeah, back to what you were saying. It's the longest show since.
Yeah, and I mean, lawyer law shows are very popular for a reason, right? I don't know what it is about them. People love them, right? So to see the MCU take that swing, with She-Hulk,
not just with She-Hulk, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a Daredevil in there,
dude. Like, that's one of the other reasons I love Daredevil comics, is like that's why I'm so excited for this season, is because the two of them are like the coolest lawyers ever. You know what I mean? And so
this show, like, even with the Daredevil and the Hulk, like it totally already immediately wipes away any issues that I have with the other shows. Like, trying to think of an example in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I know why Spider-Man can't be there. Like, I know the legal restrictive ways on why a Spider-Man can't show up in that show, but it's weird. But imagine a She-Hulk show where the Hulk doesn't show up, where Daredevil shows up. I'm not saying it won't be good, but it's not to its full potential.
But the Hulk did show up.
That's what I'm saying. This show already off the bat is playing with
playing with the toys.
Yeah. Playing with the toys.
Yeah, you don't need a Spider-Man for this, but by the way, Spider-Man and She-Hulk, if they're in a room together, it's hilarious because they're two of like the greatest wisecrackers in Marvel comics. There's Deadpool's a whole other thing that I don't even know if he's paying attention to what people are saying to him most of the time. He's But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. It is, they're going to play with a lot of toys, but I based on the tiny bits of previews and spoilery things I've seen, there's a lot of toys that they're going to play with this season. Like a lot, like we're going to get Abomination. We're gonna get maybe a Frogman, a Daredevil.
Yeah, just going back and not being afraid to reach out to these people, these actors, to get them back in this show. Already you're in my good graces by having that in there.
Yeah.
Like I like, as much as I liked Miss Marvel, the clandestine. A little rough,
Yeah, I'm already willing to forgive like whatever Titania ends up being. I know she looks silly like right out of the gate, but that because that we're not supposed to know anything about her at the end of this episode, and that's fine. But like I promise you, whatever the MCU does with this character is going to be better than what she is in the comics. Don't ask me to explain Titania ever. She is a garbage character that is just mainly meant to have She-Hulk punch. Like it's a strong woman that is set up to fight the other strong woman. There's not a lot going on with Titania, so I'm 100% confident that they will make that character interesting for us. And so, but yeah, like I'm just super excited. I swear I did not know there was 9 episodes for the season. I will go and fix our calendar for October.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, that makes me really happy because like if there was any show out there that I would want to be longer, it is this. It is because like I want to see her all the time. And I will rewatch the show every week.
I'll be curious on, she was She-Hulk for a majority of this episode.
Yeah.
It was surprising to me how much Hulk there was in this episode. Like I did catch them being pretty smart with cutting away from the actual transformation and just cutting back to her. She's already She-Hulk. But if they can keep that up, I mean, they're swinging for the fences with this one. Like,
yeah, you know what's funny though is like, remember the Ed Norton one where the transformation was violent?
Yeah.
When did they just gave that up, right? Like they're just like, we're not gonna go with the violent transformation anymore. Because when he says every time in Avengers when the Hulk transforms, it's not too violent, honestly.
We don't see him ever we see
I'm
him
always
transform
angry. I'm always angry.
That we see him transform twice in the Avengers. In the Avengers movie, like the first one, but
it's a fluid motion.
Yeah,
like it's just one clear motion that he does, like Jen did in the courtroom. It's just one fluid motion. Yeah, I don't mind. I think it's grosser if it's violent for the She-Hulk story.
Well, it's when you're playing the tragic spin on it. Like that's not the angle they're going with this.
Yeah. But it was funny when I was talking to Travis, he was mentioning something about like the blood thing was like when they were trying to explain that they have some special thing going on with their blood that makes them like gamma sponges. And he was like, I'm not sure how that works, like, but whatever, it's fine. And it was funny because I was just saying like, I mean, yeah, always Hulk logic is weird. But like the funny thing is there is precedent in the MCU for the Hulk's blood doing crazy stuff to people. Do you remember it?
Yeah, well, to that point, I was like, man, did the leader just die of cancer? Like that's immediately where my mind went.
What if the leader comes back?
You know what? I hope that's the post credit. If we were still playing bingo, I would put it on there.
But that wasn't the only example. Do you remember the other one?
Who else is in that movie? Ross, does he get some or no? No, I don't know. Stan
Lee.
Oh, I mean,
Stan Lee was the first person in the
he had the juice
that drinks the soda that has a little bit of Bruce's blood on it, and then he off screen like hulks out, which is why General Ross's team is able to find out where Bruce is hiding out in South America. So I thought it was funny that they definitely established precedent in this universe for that blood being as dangerous as it is. And so I really, really super appreciated when they showed him after he's done doing all his tests,
yeah,
just completely destroying that blood so that no one can ever get their hands on it.
It's a little bit dramatic.
And she was like, that's what she says. It was a little bit dramatic. And it's like, no, it's not. And when I watched that, I was so happy. And then I was like, cool. Now can you show me the same kind of scene of you destroying your time machine?
We will never hear about the time machine again. I guarantee.
No, we're gonna hear about the time machine again.
Guarantee we'll never hear about the time
machine.
We
will. I guarantee you we will. We will hear about that time machine. He has a goddamn time machine, and we are not.
Well, yeah, he does. I guess he fixed it, right?
Yeah, he sent Steve back with it.
Yeah.
He has a damn time machine. I want to see it get destroyed. I want Kang to be like, hey, what are you doing with that time machine? You know? But that's okay. I don't mind. But yeah, no, I'm glad you liked it. Like I was kind of worried. I was like, is he gonna like this?
No,
like,
I liked it. And then Selena liked it as well. It's funny. Her two reservations were, how come her hair grows when she turns into the Hulk? Mm-hmm. And I don't have an answer for that.
And straightens too.
It straightens. It's pretty funny. And then how come, like, where does her clothes go? Like, how come her clothes don't fall off, whereas the Hulk's does? And I was like,
she was wearing very baggy clothes because, you know. But yeah, no, I mean, like, if you see the clothes that she's wearing when she's training, they're pretty baggy. And yeah,
we were talking earlier. I'm like, that's probably the first time I've ever seen her drawn or animated with an undershirt. Like, I'm very happy.
But she also doesn't get as massive as Bruce does relative. You know what I mean?
No, like, but yes, the clothes ripping in the comics was very much to the male gaze.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I literally have a statue up behind me that is quite the male gaze She-Hulk clothes rip.
So I'm happy they found a happy medium with the clothes rip we've seen so far.
Yeah.
The hair one, weird.
The hair one, I'll never be able to explain to you. Honestly, all I could say is it doesn't grow in the comics. She just has long hair in the comics.
I just figured like it just because she has curly hair in the show. I figured like it just
the curly. Yeah, maybe that's that. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for you other than if you're willing to accept all the other things about the Hulk, you will let this go. But I mean, I saw a fun video that was reminding people of a character that's also in the Hulk comics called Doc Samson. And he's a gamma irradiated character that he looks like a normal dude, but with really long flowing green hair. And his whole ability is like Samson in the Bible and stuff. The longer his hair is, the stronger he is. And if you can accept that character just exists in the comics, then you can let this go. It's like
someone pointed out on Twitter that in the trial of the Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner has a beard, and when he hulks out, he does not have a beard. So
it's true.
There you go.
Yeah, no, they do weird stuff. Like I don't like. I still don't understand what causes his hair to turn green. Because your hair is not the same. Your hair is like, dead. Yeah, exactly.
Does it turn green in the MCU? Or is it
his hair turns green. In the Avengers video games, it does not.
Okay.
It stays brown. But there's so many things that are just unexplainable about the Hulk that you just have to be like, I'm down because it looks cool. Her hair looks nice.
No, she looks like She-Hulk. Like
she looks like freaking She-Hulk, man. So I'm so happy with the show. I can't wait for next week and the next 8 weeks that come. It's so cool. But yeah, and then I guess we should be wrapping this up. So this section of the spotlight, so that we can do our third spotlight, which is on I Am Groot. You watched all the episodes, right, Ricky?
Oh, I did not.
No, I'm just
Like,
kidding. We're not going to do that. But no, I actually did. I watched them over breakfast this morning because I didn't realize.
They're like 5 minutes long, right?
They're like 5 minutes long. They're more adult skewing than I thought they were going to be.
All right.
There's definitely some murder, so you should probably watch them because he, like as my wife put, well, he is Rocket's son, or he's raised by Rocket. You know what I mean? So like, you definitely get to see Groot do some things that I think when I heard about the show, I thought it was just going to be a kid's show.
Yeah.
But it's more just like those Pixar short films that you get before the movies.
Is it all out?
I don't know, but I watched 5 of them, and some of them are pretty funny. Like one of them actually has Rocket in it, and it's cool. But all of them are Vin Diesel, and I was like, "What the hell, man? That's such a cool gig he has. He just shows up to say I am Groot all day long." It's funny. You should watch them.
I'll get to them at some point.
Yeah, they're better than they look just at face value.
If we're talking Disney Plus, I started the ILM documentary. That's pretty good.
I'll check that out. I'll check it out eventually. Oh, you know what I just finished? I just finished Marvel's Spider-Man on Disney Plus. It's the show that was on Disney XD, but then I think they kind of canceled it.
The Drake Bell one?
No, that's Ultimate Spider-Man. This is the one that came after that.
Okay. Like the CG one?
No.
Okay, no.
No, that's the newest one that kicked off this year, or at the end of last year. This is just another animated one, a new retelling or new stories, but they based a lot of it off of Dan Slott's run, he's the more recent writer who did like the last 15 years on and off. So a lot of the newer villains and stuff like that, and it's really good. But it ends with them forming Web, which is the whole complex that is meant to be the backbone of the ride at Disneyland, right? At California Adventure.
The engineering brigade worldwide.
Yes. So the whole show ends with a giant commercial for going to California Adventure, basically.
It really is specifically that?
Yes, it ends. Oh, wow. It ends with Web.
You know, the Hulk soda is at that park too, right?
Awesome.
That's the one exclusive soda you can get. Is it Pinga Dulce? Something like that.
I don't know. I don't know why we just went on these tangents. I just really wanted you to know that. I highly recommend you go watch I Am Groot. I also recommend that Spider-Man show, but it's a lot longer. But with that said, we should probably wrap this up, and then I can talk to you more about these random things in the soapbox for a little bit. So yeah, thank you for nerding out with me. I'm so glad you like She-Hulk, and I'm glad that we've renewed our love for Harley Quinn. I will get us some guests throughout this season. I'm not going to promise to get them every week. Just because I think sometimes we just don't need them, sometimes we can just chat.
We can have a She-Hulk
chat. We can just chat about She-Hulk and Harley. And but yeah, we will be back next week to discuss both shows further. Thanks to our patrons for supporting our growth, and to our audience for tuning in. If you had fun, please remember to like and subscribe, and check us out on Patreon for our after show, The Soapbox, starting moments from now. Do you got anything to add, Ricky?
No. I got. Right. Was I supposed to plug our Patreon?
No.
All right. No.
But I mean, as long as you're caffeinated and ready to go, let's go do a soapbox.
Let's go do it.
All right. See you.